Hey guys, it's Wingy here and welcome back to Why You Should Watch, the series where I talk about something and why you should watch it. Clues in the name. Now today I'm talking about a series that, I've done this a few times where I'm like, oh, you should watch this. And pretty much everybody in the fucking world has seen it. And in this case, it is Stranger Things. This series is something that a lot of people have been telling me to watch for, well, pretty much since it came out or since I started my channel. They were like, oh, you need to talk about Stranger Things. Want to hear what you think about Stranger Things? And it was always one that I was like, yeah, whatever. I have a habit, and I think I've said it on this channel multiple times, but I have this thing where it's like, if something gets really popular and I haven't sort of started at the same time the series did, then I'm not interested, because I'm like, well, it's never going to live up to the hype and it's just going to annoy me because everyone's like, oh my god, this is incredible, and I'll be like, yeah, it's fine, I guess. But whilst that has been proven true a couple of times, there have also been a few exceptions. Breaking Bad is one of those exceptions where I was like, nah, whatever. Then I watched it and I was like, actually, this is probably one of the best TV shows of all time. And it also happened with Stranger Things. What I love about Stranger Things is it mixes multiple different genres together. Genres that typically can complement each other, but maybe not all of them all at once. So you've got science fiction, you've got superhero stuff, you've got horror, you've got drama, you've got comedy, and it just sort of blends it all together in a way that just seemingly works. I mean, you all know, but the basic premise of Stranger Things is there's this like little town in America, there's like this group of friends, and things start to go a bit weird. So one of their friends gets kidnapped, they think, or goes missing, they don't really know what's happened to him. And then this other little girl shows up and she's got superpowers, and these like creatures and demons start coming out of the woodworks, and people are in like other realms and things like that. I've kind of not explained it properly, but that's kind of how it starts off in the first season. And they've also got to figure out, you know, like what is going on, why these things are happening, blah, blah, blah. And I've got to say, the first season, I didn't understand why people loved it as much as they did. And I'm being totally honest, like the first season is good, but I wouldn't say it's great or anything spectacular. You would think it's like, oh my god, this is the greatest show ever, because I think the problem with me with season one was there is that balance that you need to have of world building and character development. I felt that the first season delved too much into the character development and not the world. I feel like if there was a little more of an even split where we could understand like the Upside Down a little bit more, which is obviously the other world, a little bit more about these creatures, as well as learning about Eleven, learning about the, you know, the kids, the people in the town like Hopper and Joyce and all these different people. And whilst it was definitely enjoyable, by the end of the first season I was kind of just like, I wish it was a little bit more. And I know that some people don't particularly like seasons 2 and 3 in comparison to the first season, but I actually do like them quite a bit, probably more so than the first season, because it expands on the world and the characters as well in a way that I feel like the first season should have done. Now, in places I will say that Stranger Things can get a bit repetitive. Sometimes it is very much just like a back and forth and a mystery and like, oh, what's going to happen this time? And sometimes it is very creature of the week almost, or at least creature of the season. But I don't mind that. I like the fact that the stakes gradually ramp up throughout the entire thing. And I do love the imagery in Stranger Things. I love the idea of the Upside Down, which is our world, but it's just inhabited by like loads of fucking weird creatures and demons and shit. I love seeing the town and these places that to our characters are their homes and their safe havens or their comfort places, but in the Upside Down they look exactly the same almost, apart from the fact there's like a load of vines and they're all run down and dingy and horrible. I love some of the creatures in this as well, like the Demogorgon I know a lot of people love. On a weird side note, I randomly was flicking through Twitter and saw Stranger Things was trending, and I was like, oh, I'll click on that, and it turns out it's a fucking fleshlight of the Demogorgon. Why that's a thing? I don't know. Why you'd buy that? I don't know. If you've got one, I mean, power to you. But either way, Demogorgon, awesome creature design. It's like this big tall thing with almost like a Venus flytrap head, but it's got like multiple like things and teeth, and yeah, it's awesome. They got like the Dogs, I think they're called, and well, I'm going to talk about the other villain later on, but I want to sort of talk more about the characters. So you got the four kids. You got Mike, you got Will, you got Lucas, and you got Dustin. Those four are fucking awesome. Like, in terms of acting ability, like, kid actors sometimes they get a lot of shit. Sometimes, you know, they aren't that good, but they don't really have anything else to work with, so they have to go with it. In this, no, all the kids are great. Now, irrespective of what I think of the characters, I really like the actors, and I really like their performances. Out of the four, I'd have to say Dustin is my favourite. Lucas is a close second, I must say, but Dustin, he is the comic relief character out of the four kids. He has some of the wittiest lines. I really like what he does with that character. And to be fair, I like the chemistry of all four of them. Lucas I really like as well because I like the direction of his character. I like how he started as like this proper nerd like the other three, but it got to a point in season 4 where he's like, look, I just want to be cool, and he joins the basketball team, and the sort of conflict where he's like, yeah, but they're my old friends, and there's a whole thing with him in season 4. I'm assuming most of you guys watching this will have seen it, but I just love his direction and his character development. I think it's brilliant. Will and Mike, they are my least favourite, I've got to say. I think Mike is a dickhead, if I'm being totally honest, particularly in season 4. He just feels really cold, I guess, but not in like a typical sort of teenage way. He just feels like he's a bit of a dick, really, and he always kind of is that. He is very blunt at times, but not in a good way or a funny way. Yeah, he has his moments, but yeah. And then there's Will, who I feel is just like the Daphne of the group. And what I mean by that is, you know, obviously if you've seen Scooby-Doo, Daphne is always the one who gets kidnapped. There's always something going wrong with Daphne. That's what Will feels like. I feel like as a character, he doesn't contribute enough beyond the fact that he's the one who ends up in shit. And it's a bit annoying. Like, I really wish that, I mean, they do it a little bit in season 4, but I want to get to know Will more as a character. I don't want to know Will. I mean, in the first season, he's barely in it because he's the one who goes missing. You know, seasons 2 and 3, he's just sort of there, I guess. And he's, well, season 2, he's more of a plot device than he is a character. Seasons 3 and 4, I think they try and develop him a little bit better, but I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's enough. There's times in season 4 where it cuts back to Will and I'm like, oh shit, he's still in this series. You've got a character in Nancy, who I think is arguably the MVP of the entire series. I think she's fucking awesome. Again, character development for her I think is just amazing. Like, she's such a good character, and her acting, the actress who plays her, I think she's really good. Jonathan, really iffy in season 1. Let's be honest, he's a bit of a fucking pervert. But seasons 2, 3 and 4, I really like him. But there is that sort of niggle in the back of your mind where you're like, you're a bit fucking weird, mate. You have Steve, who, out of all of the characters, probably has the best character development, because Steve in season 1 compared to Steve in season 4, oh my god, like, what the fuck happened there? He starts off as like just a proper, typical, unlikable jock arsehole, and by season 4 you're like, oh my god, I love him. He's like one of my favourite characters. 11, she is fucking incredible. I love 11. She's the one with the superpowers. She can do shit. She can go into the upside down. She has like this power where she can see where people are and all this sort of stuff. I really liked how they dealt with her character and her backstory and how she came to be. I think is really, really awesome. And to be fair, this next season coming up, season 5, I can't wait to see where they take her in particular, because I feel like out of all the characters, she has the most on the line. And Millie Bobby Brown portrays her perfectly. Like, from season 1 to season 4, she does not miss a beat. She is incredible. Joyce, who is Will and Jonathan's mum, played by Winona Ryder. She's awesome as well. She's such a fun character. I really like her. She's almost a comic relief, but I don't think she's meant to be. But it's, I mean, it's Winona Ryder. We know that she's a phenomenal actress as it is. But she does genuinely add something to the series, and she is a bit of a breath of fresh air compared to some of the other characters. But then for me, the absolute god of the show, who is the best character in the show, who I just fucking adore, and I could just watch an entire spin-off of just him sat in a room talking to himself, is Jim Hopper, played by David Harbour. My god, Hopper is so lovable. He is, in a lot of ways, kind of a generic character, but I love it, and David Harbour plays it so, so well. I mean, he's funny, he's got his demons. I mean, in season 3, he is almost psychotic, and I love it. The scene where he takes Mike into the truck and sort of talks about like the relationship with my daughter thing, and he almost threatens to kill him and all this sort of stuff. It's insane and it's amazing. I just love him. I could just sit and watch a compilation of Hopper scenes and that's it. That, you know, if Hopper wasn't in Stranger Things, it'd be a middle of the road show. Hopper makes it fucking awesome and I will die on that hill. But I briefly mentioned it before, the villain that I have to talk about is in season 4, which is Vecna. Now Vecna for me is probably the reason why I ended up loving the show as much as I do. Hopper aside, Vecna as a villain felt like, alright, here we go. Because before, you know, you've got the Demogorgons, you've got the Mind Flayer, these sort of things, they're not, well technically none of it's real, but they feel like they're an alien concept. They feel like they're just an idea. Do you know what I mean? Whereas with Vecna, you've got this actual being who's sentient, who has similar powers to El. You don't necessarily know why until later on in season 4. And it turns out that he's sort of been the overarching villain throughout the entire thing, but you just didn't know it. The way that he looks, the way that the actor portrays him, everything about him is terrifying. He genuinely feels like once he shows up, you're in the shit. You can't deal with him. You just have to accept that he's in charge now, and that's pretty much it. And the way that he kills people as well, the way that he just deals with whoever it might be. There's clearly not necessarily malice behind what he's doing to these people. It's just like, well, I have to do it and you just happen to be on my list. Like, you're weak-minded, I'm just gonna prey on you. That first scene at the end of the first episode of season 4, where he appears properly for the first time and he takes out Chrissy, my fucking god, it's, pardon the pun, it's jaw-dropping stuff. And obviously, spoiler, but then again, I'm assuming most of you guys watching this video will have seen all of Stranger Things up to this point. He's obviously not dead by the end of season 4, so I'm very, very curious to see how it goes. Again, it's almost like the Infinity War thing with Thanos at the end of season 4, like, he kind of wins. So I'm very curious to see how they deal with it in season 5. And part of me would actually like to see him flat out win and then, you know, there's no hope and, you know, that's the end, good night. But we just have to see. Stranger Things though, I wish I watched it sooner. I definitely love it. It's definitely a very binge watchable season. Like, you have to sort of go from one episode to the next. Season 4 at this point I think is my favourite. No, I say I think. I know it's my favourite. It has so much going for it and really long episodes as well actually. Like, every episode is essentially a film and I really, really love that. But it's a great series, and if you haven't already, just fucking check it out because it is genuinely great television. In the comments below though guys, let me know what you think. Stranger Things, do you love it? Do you hate it? Whatever it is, let me know down below. If you enjoyed this video guys, then make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe for more. Social media and Patreon links will be in the description as always, so if you would follow me on any of those things, I'd absolutely love you forever. But until next time guys, you take care of yourselves. Goodbye.